Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how I take aesthetic notes on my Samsung Tab S6 Lite. This video goes into detail on how I actually take notes in the note-taking process, but if you guys wanted to see some aesthetic basics, I recommend you check my last video on Samsung note-taking, which has 30,000 views, so thank you guys so much for all your support. So to start off, this is how I like to set up my pages. I just like to have it scrolling horizontally, and I like to move the little taskbar to the side. I don't know, it's just a, aesthetic thing that I like to do. And then you can just choose your page template. Again, they have millions upon millions of page templates that you can just download and use. However, I like to use the little graphing one. But now into the Notes app shortcuts, which is what we're all here for. So if you guys are here, you want to learn how to take aesthetic notes. So let's just skip the keyboard. So if you click the star, it will favorite your pen and save it to quick access. And then if you click those two arrows that point to each other, you can zoom out and have a quick toggle function for your pen. It's extremely helpful when you're toggling against pens, and the same goes for your highlighter and of course just the simple eraser tool. Now next is the outline tool, which is one of the most important tools on Samsung Notes. Here you can highlight entire sections, and from there you can cut, copy, paste, or change the style, which I will demonstrate right now. Changing the style just means that you can change the color and the thickness of the text, so it's extremely important for changing things on the fly. Then we have the custom palette area where you can, set up your custom palettes. You can do any color you wish and save them to the little bar to toggle them often. And then you have the little pen adjustment tool, and this thing does exactly what you think it does. Now, here's the most important part, is selecting your color palette. They have about a dozen pre-made color palettes, and in order to select new ones, make sure you deselect the pre-programmed ones so you can select from prettier ones that are at the bottom. And now once you've done that, it'll be saved to your pen toggle function, and it just makes life a lot easier. Now here I am testing the pens for you because there are 4 pens on the Samsung Tab. Really, I only use the first one. The rest of them don't really change much, and they're kind of ugly, but to each their own. So now we're going to go into writing styles and tips so you can nail that aesthetic look. First things first, make sure you're zooming in when writing to get sharper lines, but also you're going to want to adjust that pen size to make sure your lines aren't super squiggly and not straight. And to do that, just opt for thicker lines in general rather than those thin skinny ones. And now here's a quick tip, because I got a lot of questions on this last time. To add shadow, use a highlighter in the same color and just outline your text, and you got that shadowy look. And now here are some simple heading styles that I use. I don't really go crazy and overboard, and you will see this when I actually take notes, because let's be realistic. We're taking notes, we're not at a fashion pageant, but just play around to what you like to do. And now note taking in practice, because a lot of you guys wanted to see how I actually use this in my real life. So today we're going over my AP Bio notes. So I started off with a heading. You really want to make sure your heading is cute, so I spent a lot of time on this, and I like to use straight lines because they often look better than squiggly ones. So tip number 1, always have subheadings. Never just write your notes in the random margins. I think that looks bad. And always go back and underline those subheadings with your highlighter for that aesthetic look. Sometimes I like to underline my subheadings before I even write them, and I always make sure that I have 2 points for each subheading so that my notes look full and elaborate. I also like to highlight my little anecdotes by adding little tiny arrows and writing in a lighter color so that they're noticeable when you zoom in, but not necessarily when you zoom out. And here comes that awesome tip that I showed you guys earlier. If you don't like where you put something, use that outline tool and just move it around. It takes a lot of adjusting in the real world to make sure that your notes look aesthetic. I mean, a lot of the times we're just writing notes, we're not really focusing on it. And when I have big subheadings like this, I like to use a big chunky highlighter to really make sure that break is clear in the text. Like, hey Kayla, we're moving on to a new subsection. That just makes more sense to me. But of course, you can have your subheadings or write your subheadings however you like. And then I like to go back and highlight the keywords rather than while I'm doing it, because I find I remember them more if I go back and highlight after I wrote it, but that's just me. And then again, edit those notes. I mean, it's not going to be perfect the first time. I made a lot of mistakes. I think this video took me 50 minutes to record and it's only 5 minutes long. So again, it isn't a simple process to get aesthetic notes. So as you can see, I made it clear that I'm starting a new section. And then again, I like to make sure I highlight my key terms and my keywords so that when I make flashcards in the future, I can just scan my study guide or my study page just for all the keywords and just copy them and highlight them into Quizlet. I've also been using arrows, which is something I didn't really point out, but I don't really use bullet points. I use arrows because I think they're super cute in my opinion. And then for charts, I like to make sure that when I'm doing a chart outline, I highlight the chart outline or try to give it some dimension so that it's not just a flat chart on the page, because I just think that it looks boring when it's flat. So you can just use that highlighter trick that I showed you earlier to add some dimension. And my final tip is that when you're going to add a little like notes box or like a little subsection, use that darker color for that notes section so that it pops out against your page, especially if it's something really important. But hopefully you guys like this fast facts / this fast tips video for the Samsung Tab. As always, you can ask me questions in the comments. I respond anywhere from 30 minutes to 1 day at max after you've commented. So I will always get back to your questions. But if you enjoyed this video, please let me know by leaving a like, a comment, maybe subscribe, and I will catch you all next time. Bye everyone.